We'll solve everything.
I wish we had stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
My arms don't have much movement because I'm like, because I've got these things on. And I have to put them on because I didn't paint the rest of my arm. Whoa, look at that.
Oh, hey.
Not orange.
There's CosTalk Live is having an episode. I wonder what it's about.
Serious? Oh my god, I'm excited. I miss them. They were gone.
Yeah. They're so just like witty and knowledgeable about all things cosplay.
How awesome. Oh my goodness. How is everybody out there? I'm going to open these windows.
It is kind of weird when we're not present and it's just like, wait a second, what? We weren't there? Hey, did we have for our CosTalk Live Twitch, do we have it set up for our past streams actually?
They only stay on, I think, for a certain
weeks, right?
weeks. Yeah. We do have it, but yeah, they only stay on for like.
Okay, cool. I was just making sure. Because I had forgotten to activate that on ThermoCosplay, and I was like looking, and like, where is all my broadcast? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it does. I'm just gonna double check. It's so weird because when I took my green contacts out, I didn't put in other contacts, so I'm blind right now. Guys, what's wrong with me? I think we're all good.
Here.
It's nice to see everyone out there.
It's the stream time.
It's time to stream. Okay. This wig is... I'm trying to get to the Facebook page now, but here we go. Oh, man.
So,
Okay, here I am. Oh no, now you can see under my wig. My wig's not perfect.
I'm just like over here playing with the screens. Viewers are probably like, what is going on? Sam is going crazy.
Jinx's eyeballs.
I'm shiny. I want to do terror.
Yeah, make yourself big again. I want to see it.
Yeah, let's get a close up on the shiny.
Wow.
The makeup is so cool.
Yeah, you look really good.
Once it's airbrushed, it'll be super awesome. The only problem I'm learning is with crystals on your face. Tip one, it's not the easiest thing to do, and two, your wig loves crystals.
Yeah, I bet.
And I'm like, okay, well, next time I wear this, I'm going to do what I want to do, where basically I'm going to hairspray the snot out of it and tease it, and it's going to fluff out more. So hopefully it stays away from the crystals.
But, I mean, you can probably feel it, but it doesn't look bad. Like, it doesn't look like any,
no, that's good. Because like, it literally feels like someone put Botox on my lower eye and my eyebrow.
Yeah.
I know your face, huh?
I know, I did eyebrow cover, and it's kind of the same thing. Like, don't get surprised, Jessica. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So it feels really weird. And I don't have my antenna yet. I'll be making those later.
What are you making them out of?
Oh, that's exciting.
What are you making them out of?
Hello, Shelby. So this is not an hour earlier. This is 12 p.m. Arizona time. So Arizona time is called Mountain Standard Time. And Mountain Standard Time never changes in Arizona. So for those of you who are like, wait a second, why is this an hour earlier? Daylight savings has occurred. Only Arizona does not acknowledge daylight savings at all. So it's still the same 12 o'clock for us that it's always been.
Yeah.
Arizona's doing great. We're so proud of you, sweetie. Like, ignore daylight savings.
Just rebel. We're so rebellious.
Seriously.
So most people are probably like, oh, they're Pacific Daylight, right? No, we're not Pacific Daylight.
Well, we were Pacific Daylight when daylight savings was occurring.
Right.
But now daylight savings is over.
Kind of.
We were always Mountain Standard, but we were the same.
We're
as
always we're just, it's easier. Like literally, if you go on time zones and you look at them, Arizona has its own time zone.
Or even better,
Arizona GMT.
Even better, you can go onto your phone and like if you have iPhones, I don't know if Android does, you can go to the world clock, and then you put in Phoenix, so then you can always check. Oh, okay, Phoenix time.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
Yeah, I think there's only like one or two parts of Arizona that change their time. I think it's the reservations change their times, but the rest of the counties recognize the Mountain Standard.
That is so strange.
Mm-hmm. So
I would be fine with doing away with daylight
yeah,
savings.
I figured this is our first time streaming with like the time zone changes. So I'm like, I bet some people are gonna be like, wait a second, what? What's going on?
Hopefully, if
Yeah.
you're following us, you get the notifications.
It would appear that the daylight savings has
I think it attacks Kii-chan
has
too.
tripped up a few people, and that's okay. Do we want to wait a few more minutes before we get started?
Yeah, we'll wait a few minutes just to let some people catch up. I think both our guest and our other host were like, wait a second, what time is it? And I'm like, uh-oh, people have forgotten about the
No,
time
because
zone changes.
Madame Askew is in Tucson.
She's in Tucson, so it should still be 12. I think it's 12 in Tucson, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Tucson changes.
I don't think so.
June
12.
says that's how I check my phone. Yes.
Yeah, so we may have Kii-chan a little bit late just because I just got a message from her going, wait a second, it's 11. I'm like, it's 11 in
Oh, really?
Seattle, in Washington, but
Oh, no.
it's 12 in Arizona.
Poor Kii-chan.
It's okay. Like, this
And we
happened.
We talked about that too. We were like,
We talked about it in our last stream, but if not everybody
Kii-chan
was
wasn't
present,
there.
yeah, I don't think everyone was present. I think it was just the three of us because I think Kii-chan was gone too, and so yeah, it's 11 on the West Coast, and then in the Central time zone, it's 1 o'clock, and then East Coast is 2. But Arizona's just sitting here going, we don't change that time. It's 12.
Guys, what's going on?
So if you're confused, it's okay. It's normal. That's called Arizona time zone. So CosTalk Live runs off of Arizona time, which I believe is currently MST. So AZ time MST would be 12 p.m. currently. So yes, I do understand where people might be confused right now. And I'm sure that Facebook and Twitch and YouTube have not helped because they always refer to the wrong time zone, even though I've said it correctly. When I schedule it, it still says, Pacific Daylight, which was weird. So I had to resubmit things to get it to go, no, it's Arizona time. I don't know how many times I have to tell you this, but
oh man, that's okay. That's all right.
So so we got Kii-chan joining us soon, and Madame Askew will be here as well. And Madame Askew is our guest today. We will be talking about fabrics. So if you have any questions, then please let us know. If you have a difficult fabric that you've always wanted to face and you would like some insight into it, please keep that as a question. We are going to talk about fabrics, lots and lots of fabrics, and kind of go through our favorites, our most difficult, our dream fabrics, and the tools that we use to overcome the obstacles of these things. But yeah, Deborah even said that in Arizona it can get confusing because I love that Arizona doesn't change their time.
Me too.
I love that I don't have to set it back or set it forward. But the rest of the world just looks at us like we're crazy.
Oh my God. I work for a global company and we've been doing live streams and I have to really Google things to be like, what time zone is this? And what time is it? And some of them during daylight, some were on daylight and some were not. God.
Yeah. And it's very tricky. But yeah, Arizona does not change their time. And honestly, we don't need to. We get so much sunlight that the savings does nothing for us.
Yeah.
No. I actually, since I'm a teacher and we do have some kids who are still remote. Well, I guess some families have really taken advantage of the fact that they're remote and they're in completely different states right now.
Oh my gosh.
And so having the kids log on during the correct time, especially with daylight savings ending, I guess that has been a struggle for a lot of people. They'll email and be like, okay, what time are we supposed to sign on? And I'm like, I don't know, where are you?
Yeah, what?
I have no idea.
Just Google it.
All right, we got
Exactly.
Kii-chan joining the stream, and we'll have Madame Askew soon. And don't worry, Kii-chan, it's okay. Everyone on the stream is commenting, going, "What the heck? It's 11 a.m. or it's 1 p.m. and it's Arizona. It's 12."
Yeah, you're fine.
I was not aware, and I was literally putting makeup on and making lunch.
It's okay. You kind of thought about like, oh, didn't we talk about it? And like, oh no, we talked about
No,
it.
we
We
didn't.
talked about it, but like nobody was around.
Like,
I mean, I will take part of the blame because I was non-fucking existent this week. Excuse my language. Like, I was just. Not only was I off the internet because of stress, but my favorite series, a spoiler, dropped early, so I just bamfed. I was like, no, I don't need spoilers.
oh
I have a
man,
doggy. She's joining me. Come here.
is that Ellie? Ellie, oh, so cute, a puppy. Oh, hi, Ellie.
Aw.
Ellie is your best friend. Hi.
You see Jess?
Hi,
She kind of looked over and then she's like, no, I'm good.
Ellie. Like, there's no way.
Girl.
Oh, Ellie's such a baby.
Well,
And
you guys are gonna see me.
my desk is up high, so to give you an idea, I have a really big dog.
Yeah, she's cutie though. She's a little baby.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
be eating my lunch as we stream because that's
Go
how
for it.
this works.
Okay,
You do
we
you.
can go ahead and start with introductions until Madame joins us. I will keep an eye on my messages to see if she's having any difficulty. But let's go ahead and get started. Let's do introductions and yeah, see what let's go with Miss Starfire over here.
Hi. Okay, sorry, I was trying to be Starfire, but anyway, hi guys, I'm JinxCosplay, Jessica from JinxCosplay. I've been cosplaying since 2001, Arizona based, and I'm not very I'm still pretty new at body paint, so I'm actually quite impressed with myself that I'm okay today. Yay! So yeah, that's me. Hello.
All right, Ambrose.
Hi guys, I'm Liz from Ambrose Cosplay. This is my Princess Leia look. I cricketed my shirt myself. So here, it says, "Here comes the general."
Nice.
And so I drew it and cut it out with the Cricut and made it. On the back it says "Rise Up" and it has the rebel symbol. So this is kind of my casual Princess Leia look.
Cool. Nice. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I am Sam from ThermoCosplay, and I don't have the lower half. I have some of it, but I decided to take off most of it. But yeah, I am Tamatoa.
Yay!
It's so gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks so good.
Legs.
Oh, so good.
Okay, I'm not gonna assault you with my legs anymore.
They're always so gorgeous.
Sitting is tricky because these legs like to get caught on the handles of my chair. But
Why
yeah,
didn't you
no.
put them on? Like we wouldn't see them.
Hmm?
You wouldn't even you didn't even need to put them on.
But they're fun, and I keep playing with them under the desk, and I can't help it. But I built this so that, like, when I'm at a convention and I don't feel like wearing the skirts, I can just take the skirts off and have this bodysuit and the legs, and just run around with the bodysuit, the legs, and the cape. So there we go. But yeah, Sam with ThermoCosplay. Hello. That leaves Miss Kii-chan over here in the corner. There you are. Okay.
Hi. Like I said, I've been non-existent. I just got like the biggest spoiler. Was it yesterday, day before? I don't know. I've just been in a haze because my favorite book series finally like gave me the information I wanted, and I've just not existed on the internet. I'm a Pacific Northwest cosplayer though. I do a lot of I don't know. Never mind. I'm Setsuna from Yashihime. Because sort of I didn't get time to finish putting the costume on, but this is the start of my Yashihime costume because I'm so obsessed with the new show. It's so good.
I love Setsuna too. I was thinking of maybe doing a Setsuna cosplay as well.
I got this yukata, and I got it because it has the hexagons, and it reminded me of Sesshomaru's yukata, and I just loved it so much. And so I'm like, I have a good reason to use it now.
So cool. Nice. All right. Okay. So we've got a question already. Deborah says, Sam, have you done panels at Costume College?
No, I want to eventually, but I've never done a panel at Costume College. Probably should.
Sam and I have talked about possibly attending.
I want to go to.
Like COVID happened, and who knows when things will happen again. But that would be so much fun, Sam. You should.
I would love to go to Costume College.
I see. That's the thing too. Do you guys see that the event is trying to show it as 1 o'clock?
I was looking at
it's changing.
It still says noon for my time. So
yeah, it says noon for me too. So maybe it's like whatever you have set in your photo, like your Photoshop.
Yeah, because Facebook
Your
events will,
Facebook settings, wow, Sam.
it'll
I
go,
love when I get Photoshop notifications, Sam.
but Facebook will go based on where you're
Your
located.
location.
Like, so if we're in Phoenix making the event, it'll be Phoenix time, but should show for everyone else their time is what I'm thinking.
No, it doesn't, because it says that we start at noon and it's 11 my time. So it shows the opposite for like.
We're gonna have to figure out what's going on with the whole
Yeah.
Facebook time zone settings.
That's annoying. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't ready, because I was like, oh, I still have an
it's okay.
entire hour.
It does say 1 p.m. on mine. Why? It says 1 p.m. MST. What?
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fine.
I'm wondering if it was like a scheduling error or issue with. Oh, look, Madam. Hello.
Hi.
Oh my
I think-
goodness.
It's okay. I think there was an issue with the streaming service that we use. I think it got confused, and even though we scheduled it for 12 p.m.,
Oh my
it's
goodness.
trying. So I will check next time to see why it does that. It's bizarre.
Yeah, no
You know,
worries.
time
It's all
travel is
good.
very difficult, and I'm often askew, not just in my dress but in my arrivals. So thank you for your
problem.
patience.
But that's
You're
okay,
not the
Madam.
only
You
one.
are-
I was also in the wrong time zone, so it's okay.
I'm relieved. I'm relieved. Yes.
So
So
we can go a little bit longer today. It's totally fine, and then I'll make sure that I edit these events and figure out what's going on, why they all keep showing 1 o'clock. It's freaking annoying me. But I'll edit that for next week because I did not notice that because I had done the scheduling through my streaming service and set it to 12 p.m. Arizona time, and it did whatever it wanted to.
well, as it does, technology. But thank you for your patience and thank you for your invitation. I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks for coming today.
Thank
We're so
you.
glad to have you today.
Yeah,
It's so good to see all of you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. All right, we're gonna have you introduce yourself then. Look at
Oh,
you.
wonderful. Thank you. Well, hello. I'm Madame Askew. I'm a time traveler and I'm here in my cockpit, which is that's a little bit better. And I am a costumer, cosplayer, time traveler. I do a lot of historically inspired costuming. I mostly hang out with the steampunks, and occasionally I traipse through historical reenactment events too, because I just really have a passion for underpinnings. So if you want underpinnings, time traveling is the way to go. I've been making costumes, sewing my own things for going on a quarter of a century.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Thank you for joining us. And then Deborah made a really good point. I think the reason our events are set funny is because I scheduled them before daylight savings occurred. So I'm just gonna have to cancel all the events and reschedule.
You should be able to change the time on them
I tried. It tried. It won't change it back.
because you use this scheduling system. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. No problem. We'll get there.
That's okay. It all happens, guys. We figured it out. We got it. We're gonna be fine. We'll get there.
We're here.
All right.
Excellent.
There. I think we're all together. We can see everybody here. Yay!
Hi, everyone.
All right.
All
so,
right.
I'm eating my hair again. Nah, it tastes delicious. All right, so let's
This is not the special daylight savings episode, as some of you guys might be led to believe. This is the fabrics episode.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. It's a good thing that all of these episodes are stored and you can watch them later if something happened.
Yeah.
All
But
right, so-
seriously, Madame Askew, don't worry. Like
Thank you.
I'm sitting here eating lunch, not even dressed, just put my makeup on, go do. I have another hour. It's all right.
Well, I'll be honest, I was making sure all of my devices were working and that I would be prepared with the modern technology. And so it was a bit of a, oh no. It's fine.
Yeah, that would also be my fault for not checking the event to see that it had swapped.
It's all right.
So I was
Thank
pressing
you.
the technology, it let me down.
But it wouldn't be virtual adventures during the pandemic if we didn't have weird technology things happening.
Yep.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is true. This is true. Okay, so let's go ahead and have everybody kind of give a quick chat. I've got different pages open, so if people want to talk about something, we can share it. But what would be each of you, your favorite fabric? And we'll start with you, Jinx, because you're in the upper corner and you're first there.
I don't really know if I have a favorite fabric. Obviously cottons are so easy to work with. So definitely anything that's like cotton based or, actually crepe was really nice to work with too, because it's a little softer and easier, more pliable, but yeah.
So do you have any costumes that represent that fabric that I could share with everybody?
Actually Ariel, because the skirt is made of like a digital printed cotton, and then the top is crepe, so that could work. Yeah, and then the bodice is velvet. So velvet actually that velvet was nice to work with if you're not using like a stretch velvet. Stretch velvet's so weird. I hate it. I guess we'll talk about that later. But regular velvet is so nice. As long as you get used to the whole nap thing. So yeah, the skirt is just a nice cotton.
Hey.
Again. Hi everybody. It's Starfire.
I was like, no.
Another. Okay, there we go. So that the top is made of crepe, and it's so nice, and it like drapes so pretty and stuff. And the skirt has this the laser printed design on it, cotton. So and that's so comfortable too. It's just so nice to wear. So that's me as a redhead again.
All right, then let's see here. Madame Askew, do you have like a favorite fabric? I know you've got quite a few you've used.
Oh yes, I know. I'm a cheeky strumpet for fabrics, so I love all of them a little bit. I'm really, I have no chill when it comes to silk, which is not really a good go-to fabric for every project. But if I can use it and it is in the budget, silk is one of those fabrics that wants you to succeed. So that's really nice. It will do so many things. You can get so many different kinds of silk. So I use a lot of Dupioni. I think Silk Baron is a familiar company to a lot of cosplayers these days.
They love one of your photos. I'm not sure if it's made of silk or not.
Oh yes, it is.
Okay. I was guessing at the sheen. I was like looking at the sheen, and I'm like, I think.
Yes, yeah, that is silk head to toe. It's silk, a silk satin with some silk Dupioni, and then silk velvet, because I'm absolutely absurd. It's really hot to wear, full head to toe black in the desert, made out of silk. But I do feel really fabulous the whole time.
It looks gorgeous. Like every time I see this, I don't know what it is about this one, but I'm like, I'm gonna steal it.
No,
I think it's because that one did nearly take 5 years of my life to make, and so you can all feel that. It's really, it's a hard. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just showing the whole. This is all they see. They don't see us anymore. They see the magnificent photo.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful costume to wear. It's also a dedication to wear because of all that black fabric.
Geez, that's cool though. That's nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God. Everything's happening
So
at once.
It's okay. All right. What about you, Ambrose? What is a fabric?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I can pick one fabric. I love fabric, you guys. And I'm sure Mr. Ambrose Cosplay would actually like if I loved fabric a little bit less. But so I mean, fabrics I love working with: brocades, velvet, velveteen, organza, chiffon, satin, silks, taffeta. I love it all. You guys, I can't pick one. I will say that I definitely prefer. Thank you. That's a taffeta with a metallic chiffon over it. But I will say non-stretch fabrics are my area of expertise. I'm kind of like dipping my toes into stretch fabrics because I know they can be very useful, but as far as working with them, like I'm not very good at it at this moment. I definitely prefer working with the non-stretch fabrics. I feel like they just make more sense to me, and they come in so many pretty colors and textures. Stretch fabrics, I have a very difficult time with. I'm just not very experienced, but I'm working on it. Actually, the costume that I'm starting this week has a few stretch fabrics, so this will be some good practice.
Nice.
Yeah, it's stretch fabric is my favorite. So
I know, Sam.
since I'm just rotating in a circle that ends up at me. If it's stretchy, I want to use it. That's just sort of my thing. I absolutely adore stretch fabric. Most of my tamatoa that I'm currently wearing is stretch fabric. It's like what I have right here. I actually used like, I don't know what this is. I think it's a chiffon or it's sheer. It's a sheer fabric. I don't know. I just grab stuff and go, and I look at the screen and I cut, and that's it. But I have a neoprene, an athletic neoprene that this is attached to, with a shapewear underneath that's also made of neoprene, double layered, so that I've got like cinching goodness, and then I've got 4-way stretch, a lot of spandex here, and then even this this net fabric here, this gold coin fabric, is on a stretchy net. So like, if it's stretch, I will use it. My legs are made out of stretchy fabric too.
Nice. That's actually the same thing I did with my pieces. This is stretch fabric over foam.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just love stretch fabric. I can't seem to say no to it. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I've worked with, I think, every stretch fabric possible at this point. And I'm just starting to get into non-stretch. I'm not very familiar with non-stretch fabrics, so that's definitely an area that is a struggle for me. I think my favorite use of stretch fabrics, I'm just going to share this photo here, and it's like a newer one. I think this one? Did I? Okay, I grabbed the right one. Apparently, I have a lot of photos up. Okay, but this one, the armor is covered in 4-way stretch metallic spandex. The arms made of 2-way stretch fake faux leather. The legs are made from athletic stretch knit, and so it's just all stretch, and it doesn't look like it. I've had a couple people go like, "Wait, that's all stretch?" I'm like, "Yes, that's all stretch fabric." So I work with stretch fabric in a way that I make it not look stretchy. I don't know how I do this, but that is my trick. I've even done puffy sleeves with stretch fabric, and they still stay puffy. So I don't know. Like, wait, I mean, I think I might have that photo, but I did like Fuho Oji earlier this year. Oh, I do have it right here. So like, these sleeves are made from stretchy fabric, and the fact that they still stay fluffy makes me happy.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Fluffy.
So yeah, that was a learning experience though. That's an experimentation.
Did you stuff your sleeves? Did you give them sleeve supports?
So I took shoulder pads, and then have you seen the Sailor Moon rolls? The like the little three. I put one of those underneath there, and that's it. And then I starched the stretch fabric and pleated it and made it fluffy.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
Although I'm sure you could have found like a satin or taffeta in the same color.
I apparently really hate non-stretch fabric.
Yeah, like that green is a pretty generic green. So
yeah, if I can not use non-stretch fabric, I will find a way to use stretch. It's just because stretch fabric for me makes so much sense, and I don't know why. Like, it's actually the first fabric I started with. So
nice.
All right, that leaves you, Kii-chan.
I'm going to be the oddball out. Like, I've worked with so much fabric, but I personally hate it. I would much rather be in the workshop with armor or wigs or something other than fabric. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say fur is my favorite thing to work with. I know a lot of people are like, what do you mean? But I actually find it so easy. I love fur. Like, one of my favorites is my Rom's vest, like the classic Rom with the brown. And then I used this like really pretty, like, woolly fur trim on it, and I just love it. I just pet it all the time. But I love fur because it was the first thing I ever learned on. My grandmother handed me fur and said, "Let's make stuffed animals." And
Oh,
so, right, and she was like, she always taught me that fur could hide mistakes. If you play with it enough, it was really good at hiding mistakes. And so I got really good with fur. And after that, everything else did feel like a breeze. But I just love working with the difficult fabrics, and fur is fun to dye. And that one. I love that
awesome.
so much. I also way too long painting the stupid jacket. I painted every spot on that thing. But I just love it. It's so easy to work with, and like you can just snip it and then tear it, and then like you got a perfect clean cut, and it took you like 5 seconds to do it. I'm more than excited to actually make Setsuna's fufo, because I've been like really wanting to do the fluff, and I didn't get a chance to pin it in place because I was in a rush this morning. But I love it so much already, and it's not even finished yet.
It looks awesome. That's so cool. We got a couple of comments here. Oh my gosh, I really can't read. Jordine. That's okay, I got it. I just see my face up close because I have to go to the screen real close. Silk is a fabric that wants you to succeed. Yes, I feel the same about linen. Wow, linen? I feel linen is difficult to work with.
Oh, no, I love linen. It's beautiful.
Deborah says, the sheen of silk and richness of velvet, so wonderful. That's true. Yep, we absolutely love that outfit. Oh, and Anthony says, love the costumes. Oh, my star. Thank you so much. And Shelby says, I love your ROM, Kii-chan. So thank you guys for tuning in again.
So we've kind of gone through our favorite fabrics, but what would you say was a fabric that you encountered that was probably the most difficult? Madame Askew, you have worked with so many fabrics. Is there a fabric that you recall which you just kind of got fed up, or just maybe it was the brand of fabric, just something that was really difficult to work with?
I have sort of 2 fabrics that have made my costume a complete nightmare, and one of them was this gorgeous green and gold polyester jacquard, and it was the most unforgiving fabric. It ran, it sort of frayed if you looked at it crossways. It did not want to hold a crease. You had to melt it into pleats, which is not my fave.
Was it this one?
No, not that one. That's all delightfully silk. I don't know if there are many pictures up of it. We did that one 2-3 years ago. It was our Emerald City cosplay where the Grand Arbiter and I
have it.
cosplayed the city. Not characters. Let's be the city. So we were. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. It tried to murder me on multiple occasions. I had to redo those gold pleats 3 times.
Wow.
And that's like 30 yards of pleats or something absurd.
Oh, yeah. Ow.
Yeah.
Pleat is already a pain in the butt, and then you get a fabric that fights you on it.
No. It's and it was part of it, I think, was the jacquard, because you have so many different threads going at so many different tensions. It just wanted to fray, which made everything very tricksy. The effect, though, was lovely. So,
yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Thank you.
And I remember, I think I've seen that like in person once, or
yes.
Whether it was on display or something. It was amazing, but I just was like staring at it, going, "What is that? Like that looked awesome, but what is it?"
Right? No, it's very warm to wear. I think that's another thing about polyester. I'm not opposed to it, but living here in the desert, it is not a good temperature moderating fabric. So if it's hot outside, you will be hot. If it's cold outside, you will be cold. That's polyester.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. That's another fabric that I might use too much of.
No, you do such good work with it, though. I really admire.
I like to paint polyester. Polyester holds fabric paint better than like any other thing. So yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I did not know.
Mm-hmm. So so what about you, Jinx? What fabric have you worked with that you wanted to murder or attempted to murder you?
Well, I guess part of this is because I don't have an industrial machine, but so there was this pleather, and pleather in general I don't like pleather vinyl. I mean, even with the Teflon foot, some of them are not great. But there was this one really like, and it was like upholstery fabric, so that's kind of my bad. But I was trying to make chaps out of them. I was trying to make McCree chaps, and so of course I went to SAS, and this is what I found. So I kind of had to just work with what I had, and it was the most horrible fabric ever. Like, it was so slippery. Like, I couldn't get any kind of glue to stay on it. Like, sewing it together was a nightmare. I ended up having to hand sew a lot of it.
Was it the same fabric that you used for Moana?
No. I never used that fabric again. I used them for the chaps, and they were horrible. He didn't even use those chaps again when we wore them again. He just bought some from the costume store. I was like, yeah, these are pretty bad. But that fabric, again, it was probably, due to the fact that it needed an industrial machine. I only had a commercial machine, but it was just, I wanted to murder that fabric. It was so horrible. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've gone to SAS, and I've bought their upholstery vinyl. And yeah,
it's great for a lot of things, but it's just it's such a pain to work with. So
yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, what about you, Ambrose? Do you have?
He loves all fabrics.
I do love all fabrics, except
Sam
is wearing the one that made me want to throw my sewing machine out the window. That gold coin fabric, which was.
Gosh.
Sam used the extra yardage that I had left over from that gold coin fabric. So I'm so glad that it was put to great use, because I will probably never work with it ever again. With that gold coin fabric, beautiful, right? You guys can see Sam wearing it. It's gorgeous. But you have to cut the gold coins away from all of your hems before you sew it, because you can't put the gold coins through the machine, or, well, you shouldn't. Yeah. I'm sure no one will stop you if you do, but you really shouldn't do that. And then you have to put them back on after you're done sewing. And let me tell you, when you're on a time crunch, nothing is more frustrating, especially when you think you've cut enough away, and then you start to put it through the machine, and you realize that you've made the hem too narrow, and you have to cut another column of them off. And I just Sam, I'm so glad that you used the rest of it, because I'm done. I'm tired from the gold.
I did some trick stuff though, because
yeah, that's because you're great at everything.
I folded it and did origami with my skirt for Tawatoa, so I wouldn't have to sew as much. And then I used the to attach stuff.
Showed was a 7-panel skirt. And to get that shape, that wasn't, I don't think there's any other way you can do it.
No.
Honestly. No, I mean, if there is one, I don't know of it. Perhaps someone smarter than me can figure it out. But
but the shape's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, it looks amazing. I've seen it in person too, and I'm like,
ooh, glittery.
So I was thinking that's the fabric that made me want to rage quit, because I was just like, you know what? I gotta walk away many times.
What about you, Kii-chan? Do you have any fabric that once you want to rage quit?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of more like I have a learning curve. And so every fabric for me is difficult in the beginning because it's something I'm not very good at. I mean, one of the most difficult fabrics I've worked with is, you probably won't be able to find a picture of it, but I did Eros Yuri from Yuri on Ice, which I decided to do a nude spandex under the mesh. And sewing the mesh over the nude spandex, which was a stretch and a not stretch, was a challenge. Oh my God, you actually found a picture. It's so far back. Yeah. No, I love that costume, but it broke me. That was such a learning curve. I learned so much from working with that piece of fabric. But I actually probably would do it again. I've actually really been debating on remaking this costume with the knowledge I have, because I do like it, and it was really pretty. It was so good. But now the fabric that I was just cringe when I see is probably vinyl. And that's only because it's just difficult to put things to vinyl without sewing it directly on. You're glue doesn't work unless you rough it up. Cosbond doesn't work unless you rough it up. You can't paint it unless you rough it up. Vinyl just becomes that fabric that you're you have to do so much to it before you can do anything, that I get frustrated out of just the pure insanity it is.
Yeah, I agree.
That makes sense. Yeah, I agree with you on the gold coin skirt stuff. Okay. I learned my
There was
lesson.
one
To be
fabric.
fair, I did warn you.
You did.
I
So
said,
used a different fabric because I was like,
I
you know
said
what?
I
No,
have.
fair enough. Like you warned me. I knew what I was getting myself into.
I said I have a lot left. However, you may want to reconsider, but it looks gorgeous, Sam. You did great.
There's another fabric that I thought of that's not hard to work with, but is like the bane of all existence of any kind of fabric, and that's glitter tulle. We can all agree
Oh,
that
God.
glitter tulle is horrible.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Like, even when I went to go get glitter tulle cut for my Luna costume, because the skirt was all glittery, they were like, no, don't bring that here. And I had black glitter all over my house, like black, not even pretty glitter, black glitter. So,
So
it looked like I
Glitter
had
tulle was never a good idea, you guys. Don't
Yeah,
do
like I
it.
had
Not even once.
I'm gonna show you a costume that I made for my cosplay partner, Lena. So she was Princess Emerald, and over the top of
Oh,
her dress
she's
is
so
this
pretty.
that glitter fabric that you're talking about. And I have to tell you, this was the first time I was creating a dress out of non-stretch material, so I did not know what the hell I was doing. And I winged it, and I like literally drew the pattern myself, and it looks amazing. But I was going to murder this fabric. I'm going to see if I can find like the picture of the fabric. But it was just, I would rather. I think this is like the whole dress, but I left glitter everywhere. Like I mean, it was just all over my house, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do, and I was freaking out because I couldn't vacuum it up, and so I eventually got like a wet mop and just started like trying to stick the glitter to the wet mop.
it goes away eventually, but it takes a long
Yes,
time.
but you can see it,
It
was
really
a white
does.
dress, and then over the waist is a full glitter fabric. And what I had to do, I tried to sew it, and it started fraying, and there was nothing I could seem to do to get it to behave. Like it wouldn't. Fray check wasn't working. Like nothing was working. So I took really sharp razor, cut it, and then I melted it to the bottom bind of the skirt. And then I did a couple stitches in the back just to keep it up in the back. And I also put it in the back seam so that I could hopefully keep it. And it stayed up. And with the corset, we had no problems. But the corset was easy. Like it's just foam covered, like it's foam covered in spandex. And then I put grommets in the back. It looks cool. But like this dress that's so simple was just absolute torture for me. I hated it. I was like, this looks amazing, but I hate you.
Right. It's that one
I always-
fabric that just pisses you off.
For me, like sparkly fabric is just always a bad choice. I don't even know how long ago it was I did my haru. I did a mermaid haru, and that glitter, like I clean out my machine and I still find blue glitter, and I'm like, it has been years. Where are you coming from?
Yeah, I have a Singer industrial machine. It's like the commercial low grade industrial, so it's not the crazy serious one, but it'll eat through leather for you. So the thing with this though is like I took it completely apart, okay, and I was cleaning glitter out, and off and on I'll sew, and a piece of thread will come out and it's covered in glitter, and I'm like,
Yep.
I used cans of air and brushes, and how? Where are you
Right.
coming
It will
from?
never leave.
No, it's terrible and pernicious. I tell people, if I make you something with sparkle, glitter, tulle, nonsense, I love you a lot.
Yeah, what I've decided to do now is instead, Tulip makes this spray glitter, and it has an adhesive in it, and you can wash it, and I have not had it come off on anything.
Oh,
Now you have
excellent.
to wait 24 to 48 hours, but once it's dry, it does not come off. And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather do this from now on. Yep.
Yeah,
that's
that makes sense. Because then
So-
I try to find to see if I have a work in progress of my Luna costume, because it was just, oh my god, it was such a mess.
Oh,
You know,
there
at
was so
the
much
fabric
yellow.
store-
Did you use
Well,
glitter
I do
fabric
see
for the
them,
yellow?
like, they
No, for
cut
the
it,
black.
You see it
Okay.
shedding, and just you've made a mistake. Like I should not have done this. Yeah, I haven't worked with a glitter fabric in a long time, probably since like Cinderella, I think, and that was like years ago that I made that.
Oh, apparently, and the Angelus leather paints also have a glitter paint. Thank you. I now know. I'm just gonna go buy that.
So there, I've got my wait, where is it?
Are you gonna share that?
Chrome tab.
All right. So while she's looking of sharing,
Yeah.
I'm gonna close this stuff out and real quick.
Wait, I think I shared the wrong thing.
Did you?
Hold on.
Okay.
Where did
It disappeared. I was like, I tried to. Nope, it's gone.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Why is it not?
Okay.
Can I see it?
We can see your screen, yeah.
Oh, I don't want to show you my screen. No, it's
All your
sharing the
pretty
wrong thing.
costumes.
I'm sharing the wrong thing. Okay, I don't know. Whatever. it was like 6 yards of glitter tulle and like 4 yards of like black organza. That organza was crap too. I hate organza. I forgot. That's the one I hate too because it just there's no way to like unless you burn it. There's like no way to like stop it from fraying.
Can I make a plug on organza that will not make you go
Yeah.
Cocoa Banana Pets? There's a difference between polyester, nylon organza, and silk organza.
See,
Mhm.
I
And-
definitely had the polyester one.
Yeah, no, so most of us use the polyester organza. It's cheap and it's readily available. It's easy to find. It's not that trivial to find silk organza, but it's like sewing with a cloud and it will not fray on you. I mean, it does want to float away and be this ethereal creation all the time, but it's not going to fray. And I actually really love it as a flat lining for some of my pieces. So I use it to provide structure to garments that I want them to be still sort of soft and light and thin, but strong. Silk organza could probably murder people. It's so strong. It's just like I'm the secret gangster of fabrics, but I'm really sweet looking. So it's great.
Next time I use organza, then I'm definitely gonna look for the silk because that was another one. That whole skirt, like it's awesome now. The skirt's really beautiful, but making it was a pain in the ass.
No, the silk is like totally different experience. It's light and very airy, but it's not as slick as the polyester organza. So it will stay more where you put it, which is a nice difference as well.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So what tools do you like to use when you're working with your fabrics? I know everyone has different types of like scissors and drawing implements. So what is it? What are they called? Notions? Your sewing notions. What are some sewing notions and tools that you like to use, Madame Askew?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm absolutely in love with a rotary cutter, actually, but like a very small rotary cutter. So the like an inch sort of inch and a half wide blade, because you can still really get your curves. It's like a cheating way of cutting fabric. It's so fast. I also love fabric weights. So I use pattern weights and rotary cutter, flat edge, something like that, to cut almost everything. I avoid pins as much as possible.
Yeah, that's definitely something I want to transition to is because I hate cutting out fabric. It's like the bane of my existence.
I love cutting out fabric. That's my favorite.
We need to like trade skills, or
Right?
I hate cutting fabric.
We need to just form like a cosplay assembly line.
Perfect. That's right.
You know, the thing about cutting fabric is I love when I'm done with it, but whilst I'm doing it, I always feel like nothing is happening and I'm not getting anywhere. I'm like, oh, I just spent 3 hours cutting fabric.
Oh my God. See, exactly the same. It's like my favorite part of sewing is like the putting of pieces together, like seeing things form, you know, it's like actually getting to the machine. It's like, it takes me so long to start projects because I'm just staring at this pile of fabrics and pattern. I'm just like, oh God. Do not want to. So next time I'll call it.
That's one thing with sewing for fabrics and stuff. A lot of people, the way they do patterns is different too. Like the way I do patterns is apparently very bizarre compared to what other people do. So let's start with Jinx and then we'll just go across the screen and we'll ask everybody like, how do you handle your patterns?
So I'm so funny. So my mom was amazing. Like she was so good with patterns. Like I'd be like, I want this pattern and this pattern, and she'd put them together. Unfortunately, I never learned that from her. So what I do is, you know, I take what I can, I kind of guess around my measurements, and then I kind of go a little bit bigger and then try them on and then take them a little smaller because I still can't figure out, like I have a weird size too. Like I'm kind of in between like sizes. So I have to kind of like play around with it. I used to hate doing mock-ups, but now I do. Because, you know, you're supposed to. So now I do. It helps a lot more with patterning. So that's kind of where I go. I do a lot of splicing of patterns, though. I will take
Mhm.
pieces from one pattern and put them in another pattern. And I find that is probably the best way to go about without making your patterns yourself. So,
What about
yes.
you, Madame Askew? How do you handle patterns?
Well, I think like a lot of us here, I'm self-taught, and so when I started, I knew no rules or boundaries with patterns, so I really got into Frankensteining things together initially. Now I still do that, but I tend to rely more on patterns that are closer to what I want to start with. And then I do a whole mock-up process. Once I have a master, then I just do permutations until I'm bored of it. So you can watch, oh, Madame Askew is into this bodice because she's done 6 different versions of it in the last 2 years. It's because I've made a master and I don't want to do it again. I'm lazy.
Nice.
I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense. What about you, Ambrose? How do you handle patterns?
I'd say I do kind of the same thing Madame Askew does. I like to have, whether it's commercial or something I made myself, sort of like keystone patterns that can be altered very easily, that I already know fit me, and I can just kind of do, like she was saying, permutations on it. I do tend to rely on splicing together commercial patterns. I think it's just a lot of work to make all of your own patterns from scratch, but I know some people definitely do that. If it's too out there and weird and there isn't a commercial pattern for it, then I'll either drape or do the duct tape thing on myself and draw it myself. And, that's kind of how I handle it. But I don't think I have ever just gone completely off the cuff, just like, oh, let's cut things out. Like, I always have some kind of pattern or guide of some kind. I don't know if I am capable of going off the cuff, you guys. I need something because fabric.
Intervention.
I would be way too. I guess I'm too cowardly to just go for it. I need something to help guide me in my time of need.
So I just go off the cuff.
Of course you.
I just measure myself and I draw out the pattern and I cut it and I sew. I literally just how what's my circumference? What's my body length? What's my neck? My arm? That's it. Sometimes I'll grab an old T-shirt and be like, oh, this fit me well. Throw it down, make modifications to it.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it, though.
I've never made a mock-up once in my life.
So I'm like the anti-Sam. I can't handle it.
I'm with Sam on this one. It drives my partner up the wall. Like I'm just the type to just throw something down and work on something. I was taught by my grandmother, who never taught me how to really use a pattern. She was just like, well, this is how you make patterns. And so I cry over trying to sit and do industrial patterns because I just don't understand the jargon on the paper. I would just much rather pull stuff out and just start cutting and like making my own pattern. I am slowly getting into doing mock-ups. Finally, like I've gotten to the point now where I'll mock up something, or I usually use clothing. I like going to the thrift store and finding some just like cheap clothes I can use and just use that to cut out where I need my seams and stuff. But yeah, I'd much rather just throw it down and just start going.
Yeah, and I think some of it is I have a mannequin that is like almost identical in size and shape to me, and so I draft a lot of my patterns off that. I'll throw the fabric up there, and like, does this like look like it's gonna work before I start cutting and sewing? Yeah, it does. Okay, cool, we're good. I do like pen and clip and test fits, but yeah, I just I don't know if maybe I'm impatient or if my spatial reasoning is just easier for me that way.
Well, I mean, you are doing sort of like a hybrid of draping because you have that dummy that matches your own body, and I think that's a really cool set of skills that you've developed. I don't
realize that I drape all the time until someone told me that's what I do, and I'm like, oh. Okay. And I learned from sewing, and literally it's called Donna Cooler's Sewing Encyclopedia. And that's
excellent.
So they've got a couple of comments. We've been talking so much. Deborah does a French seam and uses tissue paper when stitching for glitter tool. That's a great tip, but I will never use glitter tool again. So, but thank you. Shelby, Madame Askew is amazing with her fabric knowledge. That's why she's our guest today. Silk organza makes the best pressing cloth. Oh, okay. Wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
It does.
I always just use like just the cotton muslin.
Yeah, me too.
See, Dharma Trading is a great source for silk organza. I'm going to take a look at that. Let's see, Wonder Clips. I use Wonder Clips so much. Like, unless it's like a delicate fabric, I love to use Wonder Clips. Maya says, yes, I've been turned off from my rotary because it doesn't do curves well, a smaller one. Yeah, that's what Madame is going to use. She said an inch.
It's about an inch. It's in millimeters, but it's about an inch.
Smaller millimeter is the best for curves. I think I'm going to look into that too because I have a bigger one.
Right.
And Shelby says, Maya, get a smaller one. Yep, usual size is terrible for curves. Let's see. Okay, cool. And then, I love Deborah's comment, Franken patterning. Yes, Franken patterning. That's so great. I'm so big on like looking for like specific parts of like patterns and then taking something else and putting them together. So
I see no reason why not to take the sleeve from this and put it on the bodice of that. Yeah. And like a skirt's a skirt. So I can make a waistband. I don't need a waistband.
I actually have a pattern
on my waistband.
I actually have a pattern with several different sleeves on them. I haven't had to use them yet, but I'm like, this is cool. Like this is what I need more.
I don't have any, like, I have like one old button-up shirt that I cut up and turned into a pattern, and I use it for my base for everything.
Yeah, same.
But like literally, even if it's dress button-up shirt base, but the sleeve on it, like, I honestly just lay it down and use it as reference, so I make sure my curves are correct. But I don't use any sleeve patterns just because, again, I think with me the mathematics of patterning makes sense, and so it's easy for me to extend out, figure out how much yardage I need. So I guess I'm better at math than I realized.
I didn't do so well at math in high school, so
I hate the math of patterns. Like that's where I get so lost. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just gonna add 2 inches and make it bigger and then take it in. Like I'm so bad.
So there's this fantastic sewing instructor and sewing writer out of Canada. Her name is Barbara Amodi, and you might not have come into contact with her because she's writing for people who are making garments for everyday wear, but all of her lessons apply to what we do too. And she is very interested in the history of at-home sewing. She points out that the industry started teaching us in the 1940s and 50s that we needed them, that we couldn't do it on our own. We needed them to guide us. But before the 1940s, people who sewed at home would look at a picture and they would make a thing. Or they'd take these little tiny scales out of magazines and they'd draft it up into their pattern. There's no reason why you have to use all of the industrial stuff and be really bound by what they're telling you to do. If you have a method that works for you, it's good. You are capable. And you don't even really need math necessarily. I do a lot of mock-ups personally. So that's the Barbara. She's a delight.
I literally guessed the spelling of her name and I got it right. Sweet.
Yay. Emoji with the D.
She has some wonderful books. She does a great newsletter. And if you ever have the chance, she's a delightful instructor.
Awesome.
I have to say, we're lucky in the age that we're literally in the age of knowledge. Like if there's something you want to learn how to do, you can ask a friend, you can YouTube it most of the time. Like my grandmother taught me for my first couple of years, but she moved away. And after that, I was just self-taught. I sat and I learned how to do something. And sometimes it took 4 times, but by the time I was done, I figured out that pattern. I had my master pattern. I put it away, and that's just how it goes. Like, don't be scared to try something new and just make mistakes. Like that's how we learn. All of us were there once.
I do have to say though that commercial patterns, the instructions, sometimes they just don't make any freaking sense.
Yeah.
And I
don't look at those instructions unless I literally cannot piece it together myself.
Yeah,
sometimes that doesn't help at all.
Yeah,
I found a pattern from like 1942 for a cape. it is the easiest pattern in the world, and then that's actually why I like if I do apps, like there's sometimes where off and on I'm making a really complex bodysuit. I've done commission work in the past, and I've had some really complicated commissions for bodysuits, and I'm like, okay, well then I need to go ahead and get a pattern for this. And quick sew, let's just quick what's it, KWIK? So
KWIK.
so their patterns are based off of patterns from the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and they are so easy and they make sense, and it actually explains to you like why it's doing this way for the body. So I don't know why more people don't reference that.
Yeah, I just sometimes I have to Google things or look at YouTube and like, okay, I have no idea what they're doing. The images don't even make any sense because sometimes I'm a visual person, so just looking at the image, I can be like, okay, I get it. But then I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, what the heck? I think I even texted you, Liz, about something, and you're like, I don't even know what that is either.
Yeah, like I have never heard this term in my life.
A placket. I ended up not making a placket because I did make it and it looked horrible, and I was like, what the heck? So I just skipped the placket.
I agree. Some of the more modern commercial patterns, you know, when you do look at the instructions, some of the things that they want you to do, I'm like, why though?
Mhm.
Like, why is it that way? And so I kind of go off and do my own thing instead.
Although I have to say that there was this technique called a stay, right? Like stay. Like I was like, why would I sew like one line for no reason on a single piece of fabric? But now I learned, because depending on your fabric, you know, it ends up stretching. And then when I actually use stays, I'm like, oh, now things fit. Now the patterns go together like they're supposed to. So a couple things I have learned from patterns that I should be doing.
I think one of the real disservices that modern patterns do for us is that they present these ideas and act like they have the right answer every time. But if you know a method of doing a thing, then you don't need their ready method. Like, I have a way of doing plackets. I will throw plackets into everything. It's not hard. It's very like pragmatic placket installment. And if you look at some of the instructions on modern patterns, they're like, you turn 3 circles, you must pray to the gods of the east and make a blood sacrifice on your pin cushion.
And then 24 hours.
It's so absurd. They make it really hard.
Yeah, if you guys are comfortable with going longer, we're gonna keep going if that's okay.
I can go a tiny smidge longer, but
Yeah,
I've got lunch in a crock pot and it's got to be checked on soon.
So whoever can go longer, let's just go a little bit longer. Then when we're fed up, you guys can drop off one at a time. And if it gets to a point where everyone's like, we're out, that's fine.
I've got about
I have stuff.
That way to accommodate the weird, daylight savings scheduling.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Comments. Deborah says, I love vintage patterns. I used one finally. I really love it as well. June says, Madame Askew is the placket queen. I think that's your new subtitle. And Deborah says, stay stitching, never skip stay stitching. I won't anymore, because before when I used to, I'm like, how come things don't match up anymore? And so now I understand. And Maya says, I've learned most of what I know from commercial patterns. I've learned a lot too from commercial patterns. So I mean, they're not bad. They're not bad things. They can just be confusing sometimes.
The one thing that irritates me with commercial patterns, though, sometimes is the fabric recommendations that they have.
Oh, yes.
They're awful.
Yeah.
So that's why, I think I just was drawn away from them very early on, because I was like, no, I may not know the name of the fabric, but I understand the textures of them and the grains, and I know how they work for me. And so I'm just going to completely ignore this stuff and
Well, and I understand too, if you're in between sizes, the commercial patterns can be really frustrating. I'm actually, if I cut out a certain size of a commercial pattern, I know it's going to be close to my size and really easy to either take in or, whatever. But I know there are some people who are like, okay, well, I'm a size 4 in the bust, I'm a size 2 in the waist, and I'm a size 8 in the hips. So what do I do now? So I understand why that would be
I'm
very
a size
frustrating.
10 in my bust. Then same thing with the waist, but then my shoulders are like a size 14 because my shoulders are too big. And then it's and also no pattern is the proper length for me. Not a single pattern is the proper length for me. I've not found one that has a 42-inch outseam or one that has a 21-inch torso. Nothing fits. And so it's just screw this, I'm done. That's why I love fabric so much too, though.
That's why I always have this spiel. So no commercial pattern fits my body. They don't know what to do with someone who's shaved like me. It's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but whatever. I can work around it. But I think it's very important to remember some things. A, that commercial patterns are made to a sort of false median of body shapes, as if we're all the same basic body shape, but every body is unique. You might be close to the commercial pattern, but you're still never going to be shaped exactly like that. And the other thing about that is that doesn't make your body bad. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. It's about the fit. So for me, it always comes back to fit and learning those tricks. And you can see my cat agrees with me as she's crying.
Like, mother. That is
But
correct.
it's all about the fit, and learning those tricks, I think, are much more important than almost anything else. Is being able to sort of hack your way through those commercial patterns and let go of some things like darts. And darts are just a guideline. They draw them in on a commercial pattern, but you don't have to use that dart exactly there or exactly that size. You can put your own dart in. It's not a big deal. No one's going to come to your house and arrest you for malicious dart usage. You know, it's all good.
I just say, especially for women, because our curves are so all over the place. Like my darts on my boobs, my boob darts are never where they're on the patterns. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the heck? My boobs aren't out here.
I always have to get rid of the upper darts.
Yeah, I always have to change it.
I don't have to make darts for my boobs. There's not enough there.
Which boobs you're talking about? Which boobs? Which
But,
one?
But no, my the funny thing is I've had to add like darts and curves, additional darts and curves for my hips.
Yeah.
Because my hips are like my butt and my hips are like, hey.
I have like I have a smaller torso than average, so I always have to like cut things shorter or like put darts in my back somewhere too. So I have a weird like small low back. I don't know. I'm an alien, obviously.
No,
I mean, I guess the whole reason why I started learning how to make patterns myself is because that's what my grandma did. She was such a small person that patterns never really worked for her, and so she's like, "Oh, I just never use patterns. You don't need them either." And so I that's just the life I led. It's what I was trained to do. I'm sure patterns would be fine. I actually have an average body type. I don't know. I have, I guess, more fun working on my own stuff because I'm also doing crazy costumes. There's very rare times that I do like a normal costume. So 90% of the time I'd have to make my own pattern anyways. But like once you get that pattern done and like you see, like for me, that's like the first time I get to see the costume. It's like, hey, look, I set out this pattern. It looks really great. I'm really excited. So I don't know. I guess I just have always loved doing it that way. I've never really understood why people tussle with those things. My best friend talks about it all the time. She's like, "Oh, I hate this pattern, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Why do you do it then?"
I'm the same as Liz. Like patterns are my crutch. Like I have to start with a pattern, even if I only use like a portion of it or like the idea of the pattern. I have to use.
I almost feel like it's like a security blanket sort of thing where it's like, okay, this can't go wrong. I started with a pattern. It's gonna be good.
It'll go wrong. Mine have gone wrong so many times.
Oh yeah, I think like Madame Askew was saying, those tailoring skills are really, really important. Like even if you make a pattern, like a duct tape pattern on your person, that doesn't guarantee that you are gonna it's gonna be perfect, or you did the seam allowances right, or whatever. So having those tailoring skills is really important for getting a good fit.
Yeah, that's one thing I need to improve on is tailoring skills. I still need to work on that.
So we haven't talked about with sewing and fabrics that some fabrics require different needles.
That's true.
I told you, Sam, that I just got my first like leather and stretch needles a couple months ago. You're like, what?
Same.
I'm like, I have never used different needles. And
I
was like,
learned that's the one thing I learned early, and that's probably just because I bought that encyclopedia, and they talk heavily about needles in the encyclopedia. And so that was one thing that I'm like, oh my gosh, the minute I actually had the proper needle for fabric, my life was made so much easier. So, Madame Askew, is there something that you learned along the way with fabrics that you didn't realize no one had told you about, and all of a sudden your life was made easier?
Well, Fiona's come to keep us company. I think, gosh, there are actually so many. So I feel like I've had different, leveling up periods. But basting is a big thing. learning to embrace basting, and that basting can save time. Sometimes it feels like it's going to add time, but it can save mistakes. I do think needle size, needle type is really important, but also remembering to change your needles. So don't be that lazy sewist and just keep using the dull needle. Every 8 hours of stitching is a rule of thumb I've heard. So I try and stick to that, change every few panels of sewing. I do really big things. So, if I've made an entire bustle dress, it's time for a new needle, usually, right? So, trying to think of what else. There have been a lot of things, but taking more time on some of the preparatory steps and slowing down a bit rather than rushing through those stages, because it saves me tears and cursing later.
Yeah.
That's what I learned with basting too. Same with stay stitching and basting. I've done a lot more basting these days.
I 100% agree for sure.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone. You can find me at Kii-chan_cosplay at Instagram or Kii-chan Cosplay on Facebook. And I love you guys. Thank you so much, Madame Askew. You are just a fountain of knowledge. But I
It's
have
so
to
nice
deal
to
with
meet you.
some wonderful stuff in life. So I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for stopping in.
So a couple of comments here. Alicia says, I usually move the zipper placement to the side since I usually don't have help getting dressed. I prefer it on the side as well. Deborah says, Craftsy has free zipper tutorials. That was really good for doing a lap zipper. I don't even know if I do zippers right, but I get them in. So
I like a zipper that actually has like a hole in it, because I have a zipper, like I prefer them on the back just because of how my curves are. So what I do is I actually have this little hook and it pulls the zipper up for me so I can get myself dressed.
Oh, there you go. That's a good idea.
I prefer them on the center back as well, just personal preference.
Shelby says, I have a block pattern that I've made of heavily modified commercial patterns that I've made to fit me well. That's a good idea. That's probably something I need to do because I'm always like altering everything. Oh, bless the needles comment. Universal needles are not universal. Yep. It's been a long time since I learned that. Like I am still new to all these needle things, which is ridiculous. I do machine embroidery and the needles need changing frequently. June says.
Yeah.
So you do embroidery, Liz.
Yeah, you need to change those embroidery needles like a lot. If you're having an issue, it's almost like 99% either your needle or you have something stuck under that plate. But I would say, like, honestly, the thing that I wish I had started doing way earlier is pressing or ironing after every single step.
I learned that.
Especially if you hate ironing, like, I know it's easy to be like, oh, I'll just iron it at the end. Like, it has a huge effect on the overall
iron
fit.
stress fabric too, like spandex. You need to iron, like, obviously do not iron the top part of your spandex. Iron the inside of your spandex and put down like parchment paper in between and do a higher, because they do better on high heat, but they'll melt under high heat. So you have to have a barrier in between.
But just iron, press your seams every single step. Like it will make a huge difference.
I'm an advocate of pressing, especially if you can get like tools to help you press, like the shoulder, like the arm tool. I don't know what they're called, but it's just basically like this fake arm filled with sand, and you put it in your sleeve.
Oh, it's like a tailor's sausage or like a tailor's
like a tailor's ham, right? Anything that you need help with curves. And it takes some practice, because if you have an open seam, it's not like you have to be careful, because when you iron the top of it, you press the top of it, it's gonna, depending on your fabric, it's gonna show through on the outside, the ends of your seam. So it really can take some practice to like get right in that seam. But it's a huge difference. I see a lot of this in new cosplayers that they haven't pressed anything, and they'll be amazed how much better it looks just by pressing seams.
It looks so much better when you press as you go, like every single step. Seriously. Oh my gosh, sorry guys, I have to go check on lunch. But, hi,
so nice to meet you,
I'm Liz from Ambrose Cosplay. You guys can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Instructibles under that name. So, but it was so good talking with everybody.
It's very nice to meet you. Cheers. Yeah. Well, I have to concur on the pressing. So critical, the pressing. But this is, Deborah mentioned earlier the utility of silk organza as a pressing cloth. This is it, right? Because you do want that high heat, but you don't want to scorch your fabric. You don't want to melt it. Silk can take a beating on the heat.
Oh.
So it will
So good to know.
absorb and protect a lot. If your silk melts, things are very bad.
You need to go. Run away.
Yes.
Get out of there. Fire's coming.
Very bad. It's happened to me once, and it
Oh,
was
no.
it's my iron actually was in the process of dying dramatically at the time.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know what
malfunctioning.
this one is. Oh no.
Yes, you've heard this story. It was terrible, but no, pressing is so critical, and I'm glad you brought it up. I make corsets, which both of you know, and you must press every seam like 5 million times in a corset.
It's
Constantly
tough.
pressing.
I mean,
I
obviously,
can't imagine like
fabrics like fabrics like that have naps, like velvet, obviously difficult. Anything with sequins, difficult. So stuff like that, is where it's going to be a little more, challenging. But yeah, pressing's important. So
Absolutely. You can get a velvet board, although they're very expensive.
yeah.
So what I did when I was working with silk velvet for that one costume was I used a scrap of velvet, put that face up, and I pressed face down onto that, so the two piles sort
That's
of work together to keep it from getting all squished.
I just share this one.
That's
Sorry. I love this one.
awesome. Oh,
I
that's
was
so
talking
cute.
about corsets, and I'm like, this one's just like, oh my gosh.
So
Thank you.
cute. That's
Thank
a
you.
great tip.
Ruffles.
Thank you so much for that velvet tip. I love it. Also, Deborah says another plus with silk organza is that you can see through it. So I have to get some silk organza and make a new pressing cloth because I live by my pressing cloths, but I only use this, the cotton muslin, and I'm totally gonna do this with silk organza. I love it. I've learned so much from this stream. I think the most I've ever learned, other than the electronics one. That was like, yeah.
So if anybody has any questions on fabrics or sewing notions, please start asking them now. I think we'll go until 1:30 if that's okay, because there's plenty
Perfect.
of
I've got to skip out because I've got a photo shoot to get to, so I'll have to skip out.
That's totally fine.
Thank you.
We'll carry on to 1:30. Madam,
Perfect.
totally fine.
Lovely. Jinx, it's always good to see you.
It was nice seeing you, Madame Askew. Sam looks amazing today, guys. Like I was just ecstatic when she posted her picture. I'm like, oh my god, this is a rock star. Like she looks
So
amazing.
good.
So you guys can find me. I have a website, JinxCosplay.com, and I am on Facebook and Instagram at the JinxCosplay. So thanks, guys, and don't forget to tune in next week I guess you'll say it when you leave, Sam, but don't forget to remind everybody.
I'm going to delete all of the events and re-add them.
Yeah, don't forget to remind everybody the new time. But bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you. Mwah.
Cheers.
Bye. And now there were two.
There were two. Here we are.
So for those of us who are joining or are confused as to why we're still going, or are like, wait, didn't you just start? So apparently Facebook I created all the events before the daylight savings, and then it changed it to 1 o'clock, even though Arizona does not observe any sort of time change.
No, what
So
a mess.
we're going a little bit longer just to talk to all of you, but if you missed all the conversations we've had on fabric, please go ahead and check out our stream on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube afterwards, and it will still be present there until eternum, or until we decide to get rid of it. So yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for going a little bit over, because I was really affected and came in late. So I appreciate that.
I did not even see that it had changed the time on me. So now that I know, I guess I'm going to be busy this afternoon fixing all my technology, because I'm sure that it's done this to my other streams too.
It's such a that's a real irritation. We'll say that's nice.
Not have daylight savings anymore, guys. Like I don't see the need of it.
This was the year. This was the year to get rid of it. This was the time. We're all home. Just get rid of it.
Goodbye. But so okay, let's talk. You have a lot of projects, and like I'm always amazed. But was there a fabric project that like you just, I mean, it just sticks in your heart forever? You really, really, really enjoyed it?
Yeah, no. Oh my gosh. So you did pop up a picture. It's the dress that goes with this hat. It's all silk again. And
the pink one?
It's no, it's the gold, mostly gold, a little bit of blue, a little bit of red. We call it the scarab sunrise. So we have names for all of them.
That's amazing.
But it's very gold. There's
Oh, I
lots
found
of gold.
I found it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one, it was really, it was a pleasure. It was hard, but it was a pleasure. And I mocked it up entirely. That's the one. A lot of blue and gold. I always forget how much blue is in there. It's a really interesting blue too because it's shot silk. So it has a secondary color running through it, which means it changes in the light. I love it because the whole costume, as I move, is capturing all of these different colors.
I have something like that for Yojimbo, that like the skirt will change color depending on what light it's in. It's really cool.
It's such a fun thing to work with. It also means it's hard to photograph the true color of what's going on. But it was really a pleasure to work with, in part because I had mocked up the entire thing, except for some of the trims beforehand. So I'd made this costume in linen before making it in silk, just to play with all of the ideas. And it meant going in that I wasn't worried about fit. I wasn't thinking about any of the construction issues. I could just focus on finishing details and the trims. I did so many different kinds of trim on this, and they're all, except for the lace, they're all made out of the same fabric. So it allowed me to be very fussy and also to sort of showcase some of my, it was like, it's a little bit of a brag, this costume, actually. I'm like
It's
bragging in
awesome.
sewer. So
I mean, I mean, you just strutting your stuff here.
it's so fun. It was really fun to make.
Yeah, no, I think that one's incredible. So I think we have a question. Oh, go back.
Oh, good.
Crazy thing. There you go. We had a question. We had someone ask, what are the essential sewing tools that are worth investing in? So that, I mean, first for me, number one, you need a seam ripper.
Yeah, no,
Oh my
seam
gosh.
ripper.
Just like, I mean, I had one that came with my machine and I'm still using this thing. You will always need a seam ripper because something's going to go wrong.
No, I think that is that is a very good. I use a razor blade now, but yes, you want something to remove seams because you will make mistakes. I've never stopped making mistakes. I've been sewing for 25 years and I still make so many mistakes. And I think it's really important to just accept that it's part of the process. And almost nothing is undoable. You can usually step back and fix things.
Yeah.
So I think the other thing is a really good pair of shears. So even though I made a push for a rotary cutter, you like good sewing shears.
Yep.
You still need them. And it's a really foundational tool.
And I would suggest 2 sewing shears, one for like fabrics that are like pleather or like heavier, denser fabrics, and then one for fabrics that are not quite as dense. So
yes,
like, have 2 different shears because those heavier fabrics will require a sharpener and you will have to sharpen many, many times when cutting out vinyl or pleather or anything like that.
Especially important in cosplay because you are going to use those fabrics.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Right, I can get away with mostly just having my really nice shears, but I do have some leather shears in my workshop for those heavier things.
Yeah.
I also, once you become really invested, a sewing machine that's not going to betray you. So everyone has to find the sewing machine they like. I don't think you need to invest in a really expensive one to start. In fact, I usually recommend just getting something kind of cheap and functional when you're learning to sew. But once you like it,
I suggest also do not go digital just because the chips and motherboards in those go out and short out faster than normal things.
Absolutely.
So I go industrial just so I can take it apart and oil it and clean it and then put it back together because there's so many resources on like just machine, like non-computerized machines and how to clean them and take care of them.
Absolutely.
In its life, even if it was only $80.
Oh my goodness. I absolutely agree with that. I don't have a single digital machine in my workshop. I have a lot of older machines, and it wasn't that I set out to be a vintage sewing machine enthusiast, but if you get a little bit of an older machine, depending, you can get more bang for your buck, and you will be able to do almost all of the basic maintenance yourself. Now, I also have my grandmama's Singer Featherweight from 1951. And I love sewing with that machine, but they are popular. So that's one where you're going to pay actually quite a bit for one if you purchase it. And they're worth it, but they are a bigger investment.
Yeah.
So unless you run onto one at a thrift store, then you should pick it up, especially if it's under $100.
Really like, it's just gears and parts, and it's just figuring out what gear needs replacing.
Oh, and you can fix everything. And you at home can fix everything. It's amazing. I love them. So, yeah.
Question. So we've kind of gone like, we need a good pair of cutting shears. You need a good basic sewing machine and a seam ripper. And that'll pretty much get you started.
Yes.
I would think. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
So Maya asked if there's a way to add structure to flimsy fabrics. My method of doing this, because I use almost exclusively spandex and stretch material, is I actually get a stretch interfacing. Or what I'll do is recently I've started using something called CosBond Reinforcer, and you peel it off, you stick it on the inside, and it strengthens your fabric, and it's incredible. And it has some stretch itself too, so you can use it for flimsier fabrics. But what do you do to reinforce weaker fabrics?
Well, I have a few tricks. Deborah mentioned one of mine in the comments, as I love to line things with silk organza. If I want them to maintain a soft hand and to still be very drapey, organza is a wonderful way to go. But silk organza, not the polyester, because you will make yourself wild working with polyester. I also like cotton organdy, which is like organza, but it's crisper and it's not as slick. So it will give you a really good crease, and it will give you a more crisp hand of your fabrics. I like that a lot for doing tailored bodices. It is very thin, but very strong. And it will take all of those sharp seams really beautifully.
That's smart.
And they're light. They're very lightweight, which is so important here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm always looking for ways to reinforce things that are not going to make them bulkier or hotter, because it's so warm here so much of the time. I do like a good sew-in interfacing, usually. I like woven interfacings. But some projects you need a fusible. Like they need to be fused. It's just the way it is. Yep. And so I look for, again, a woven fusible rather than that sort of extruded.
The weird stuff.
It's so weird.
I don't know what it is.
How do they even make that? I don't know.
Maybe it's the leftover from the woven. I mean, I don't know. But since we're getting near the end here, I do want to say that one thing you really want to focus on with fabrics is location. So wherever you're going to wear this costume or this outfit or this clothing to, you want to consider the environment you're exposing yourself to.
Absolutely.
So, like if you're wearing spandex, I suggest wearing athletic spandex. It will keep you warmer when it's cold and keep you cooler when it's hot because of the way it absorbs moisture. And neoprene too. Neoprene's going to keep you warm. So if you're not ready for neoprene, it's an amazing stretchy material, but it will keep you hot. So if you want something stretchy that's like spandex, but you're going to be in like -3-degree temperatures, you need to use neoprene.
Well, that is really good to know. I mean, I don't know how much neoprene is in my future, but I do use occasionally some really unexpected things. And even a little bit of something that's going to hold in the heat on your body can sometimes be the best or the very worst, depending on where you're at.
Yep.
So it's really important.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also allergies too. Another reason you want to test out fabrics and see if they work for you. Like if I'm getting a new fabric that I've never worn before, I'll just buy a swatch of it if I can. If I can't buy a swatch, then I'll get like scraps. Most companies sell scraps of their fabric. And then I'll like tie it around my wrist or wear it around my neck in places that I know I'm sensitive and see if I react to it. I mean, that's how I found out I'm allergic to wool.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And probably, so I'm allergic to lanolin in wool.
Mhm.
So if I get a superwash wool or if I get a boiled wool, I'm all right because the lanolin
That's
is
the lanolin that I'm sensitive to.
right. And I can use wool if I line it really well, but I can't just put it on my skin.
Yeah, no, you have to test every fabric and then always pre-wash it because when they transport fabrics, it usually has some kind of a conditioning agent on it or a powder to prevent it from falling apart because they can't always put it in like a vehicle that has temperature control. So they put powders in like, I mean, it's like chapstick for fabric is what I call it, onto these reams so that they stay good during transport. But there's so many people that I know of, like, for instance, Yaya Han had a line that came out. People were having reactions, and it was because they weren't washing their fabric beforehand, and they found out that, like, you should never just take it right off the rack. You should always wash it. So,
And if it's a non-washable fabric, if it's something you need to dry clean.
well, you can dry clean it, or you can do
Yes.
something called Audubon, which is a disinfectant, a fabric disinfectant. You can also do, what is it, 1 part water, 1 part vodka, 1 part essential oil, and then you can do it that way too. And there's ways to disinfect it.
But always, always. It's a really good advice.
Yeah, I mean, the fabric I'm wearing right now is washable, but it's difficult to do. So like I took the whole thing out and sprayed it with Audubon and then let it dry, and then I sprayed it again and let it dry, and then I'm like, okay, now I can use it.
I love that. I didn't know about Audubon, so thank you for that. I do the vodka trick a lot.
Mm-hmm. The vodka trick's great. Audubon I like because it has like a eucalyptus scent. But we're pretty much at 1:30, so we're pretty much coming near the end of the stream. We've been on for an hour and a half because time zones messed up our streaming schedule. So before we log off for the day, those of you joining us, I'm so sorry. We are actually ending. We've been on for an hour and a half, but you can watch the whole stream on Facebook. So where can people reach you, Madame Askew?
Oh, thank you. So I am on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Madame Askew. And the Grand Arbiton, I also have a Patreon, which is /Madame Askew. We post all sorts of things, host sew-alongs, tutorials, research materials, background information, all of that.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. And I am Sam from ThermoCosplay. You can find me at thermocosplay.com. Our little names banners are here, so if you don't know how to spell it, they should be right here in the video and you can watch it. But thank you all again, and we're going to end our broadcast. We hope you have a good Sunday.
Thank you, Sam. Cheers.
Bye.